Hi, my name's James Carroll. I'm a developer for Evil Twin Artworks, and we're going to be looking again at the our next instalment in the Victory at Sea franchise, Victory at Sea Ironclad, which, for those who haven't been keep paying attention, is set during the American Civil War. So we've got different factions of obviously the Confederacy and the Union fighting for control. And yeah, this one is a much more resource based sort of game, but we'll go through that in more detail as we go. But joining me today, we've got Acid as well, who's going to be firing some questions at me and has been looking at the game himself.
Yeah, thanks for having me on James. I would like to first say to everyone, I'm going to fire across some questions, and the questions are just going to be low key, nothing too complex, just basic questions that I feel the majority of people will be asking.
Excellent.
So just people get a bit more of a feel because this is, I was going to say unique. The subject matter is niche within niche. I know one or two other developers have made a game similar to this. So I would just like to discuss some basic questions and some things that I would like to ask you about the future of this game. So over to you.
Okay. Yeah. So for those that watched the previous stream, this is the next instalment from there. So we've loaded it up. We've been trying to set up some patrols because at the moment our main objectives are to capture Biloxi down there, and also to stop the Blockade Runners getting through. They're essentially heading towards the various international ports. Got Havana there, Cancun, and obviously we've got Europe over here as well. There's also Nassau down here. Again, the Confederacy blockade runners aren't the only ones that can take advantage of this. The Union can as well. For the first instance, you will be playing in the because this is an early access game. The first thing will be playing the Confederacy, the Union, and then the Confederacy campaign will come out after that. Yeah, so basically we've got all these ships here, these fleets on patrols at the moment. I'm just having a quick regroup myself where I'm going with it. This one is heading to ports, delivering cargo. And we've been building some more. So these have got docks, shipyards, like batteries at the moment, warehouses. This is a bit of undeveloped land. I might look at that in a minute. Cairo has now got a shipyard as well, so we'll be looking
James,
at
the point of interest here and the pieces here, they look board game like.
yeah.
They're on counters. Will there be an option to actually remove the bases as you get in some games?
I mean, that's certainly, we haven't got that at the moment, but that's certainly something we can look at in early access. Again, this is something we still do with Victory Sea Pacific. Our last game, we literally launched a new update last week this week even, based on feedback from players, different ideas people have. So we're always talking. So we want to take a chance to discuss this with the people as they play it. Get user feedback because these games change as they go. We've already got some extra features lined up just from people playing the demo. Some ideas. So we'll be talking about that. We can talk about that as well as we go.
No problem.
But yeah, so what I'm going to do is at the moment we're on 0 time, so I'm going to speed this up a minute. Start to get some idea of where everything's going. I want to speed it up because at the moment we've got very little in terms of food. We need some food to come in.
The speed, James.
Yeah.
What are the increments for the speed there?
So you've got on the main map, on this big map, you've got ×1 speed 2, 4, 8, 25, 100, 200, and 400. On the in the combat view, it's obviously less than that because you've got shorter smaller areas to fight in, essentially. So otherwise, you get from one end to the other in next to no time. So obviously, these are quite large areas. Oh, no, they've got the flotilla just missed there. Flotilla 12 has been created at Cairo and is waiting orders. So yeah, we had a. So what I'm going to do with these guys? Got a sloop of war, and we've got to merge the fleets there. So basically, I feel like I need to start coming down here, even if I raid Vicksburg. Get a sense of how many they've got troops.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, James. I've played this for quite a while. I was lucky enough to be able to have the opportunity to play this. So some of the questions I'm going to ask will be some of the questions that people will probably who have never played this. I know there's a free demo which is available on Steam.
Yeah.
So some of the questions going forward will be from the point of view of people that have possibly just started to play the demo or never played the demo.
Yeah.
So you've got some rivers there.
Yeah.
So some of these ships will be too large. How far can they progress up some of these rivers? Is that taken into consideration, or can the piece move up anywhere where there's a water track?
Yeah, at the moment, what we've got, we've tried not to restrict it too much in terms of defining what ships will actually just one sec go where, because because there's so many pieces in this game that it's actually worth giving the player the chance to work that out. Put things, set up fleets how they want. There's certainly things that we can talk about in early access to restrict that as well. Let's just have a look at this. So at the moment, you can build fleets how you want, essentially. There are okay, let's see. There we go. We've got a blockade runner there. So essentially that's the main aim of the game at the moment, is just to get something that players can customize themselves to actually define where what they want to do. There's something as well when we start to bring out the mods. That's certainly something we could look at as well to actually be more specific. And,
you mentioned the mods there, James. Can you tell me just briefly a little bit more about the mods?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be able to, from the point of view of Victor at Sea, you can essentially do lots of different things with it. You can change the amount that damage a ship will take, how much damage the weapons will take, change the loadouts of ships.
So you're basically modifying the stats of each ship.
Yeah, you can also modify the how much a port could take in terms of resources and things like that. So you can speed a game up, slow it down. You could also change the time in general to make it a more realistic time, because there's always a certain balance with these things.
On the question of realism, James, is this historical? Are the stats actually real world stats, or are they just just something you've pulled out of the air?
No, they're real world stats. We've essentially, I'm going to slow this down a minute while I do this. There's always the balance. It's not a simulation, it's still an RTS, but it is. There are real world stats involved, and all the the arcs. There's weird firing arcs and these things. A lot of these ships are quite experimental. I'm just using Q and E to fire my guns here, because you can get them to fire at will or hold their fire. So yeah, so there's a lot of damage to the hull, nice. So the reload times, which you can see here, look at these weird little firing arcs, and some of them are almost like mortars, so they'll come out of the air and just come down onto the decks and things like that. So there's definitely some some weird little features like that in terms of the weapons, because this was such an experimental age when it came to this is the turn into modern warfare essentially, and so we've tried to reflect that.
James, the hits there, are they based on, is it a hitbox or is it just hit points? Is it specific locations? Are they modeled on the ships, or is it just basic hit points per ship?
No, you've got there's a hitbox to a degree. It's not like a completely simulated, but I mean, as you can see here, you've got waterline damage, turrets damage, so it will affect areas of the ship based on where you hit, that sort of thing. But it's not super accurately simulated. It's got you know, wait a second, let me just. So yeah, so you can, you know, obviously, you know, if it's got paddle wheels, if you hit the paddle wheels, then it's going to stop moving. Ships in this one, you can do, you know, do some repairs at sea, but there's a lot of time that, you know, you will need to actually go into port as well.
And these battles, can they be auto-resolved, or does the player have to play them?
Yeah, no, you can auto-resolve as well. If you think it's going to be an easy victory, sometimes it's easier to do that. Sometimes you just want to make sure that you've, you know, the outcome is how you want to. So, like anything, like Total War or anything, you know, sometimes you think, I'm not leaving this to chance. I'm definitely going to, you know, get the not do an auto resolve for this one and make sure it works. I'm going to change the in fact, yeah, no, that'll do. Let's just regroup on these patrols a minute. So we've got that one there. This one's going to come down for a bigger patrol. This is where we're really leaking at the moment. So these guys are going to come down, which will be useful. We really need to get some more people delivering cargo. Essentially, the ships delivering cargo will infer bonuses, because again, all this is a really, you know, it's a lot more detail in terms of what you can do with ports, in terms of upgrades. So the actual county, if you look at Baltimore here, you've got the Baltimore County's got a gold mine, an iron mine, and a tobacco plantation, and you can upgrade those, and that will give you bonuses in terms of the amount of resources you get.
How many different products are there in this economy? And what is the point of having these? Are they to finance each side?
Yeah,
or?
so I mean, in terms of resources, I mean, you know, personnel, like population will be important with that as well, and troops, because these are ones that you can actually pull into, you know, put on a ship and send for an amphibious assault and attack a town or a fort and start to drop troops off. But you've got gold, timber, coal, iron, food, cotton, sugar, tobacco, and as I said, crew, and there's ammunition there as well. And basically, you can build certain areas have more of certain types of resources, which is why also it's important to take territories that you think might be useful to you, because obviously, you know, the Union's got quite a lot of resources here, and playing the Confederacy, you've got a lot of tobacco and cotton and things like that, which you can trade with international powers. Basically, you can go and exchange it for things that you're short on, but also it's worth attacking regions to take control of what they've got, and you can, you know, develop, you know, farms. In fact, I think I need a farm, so I don't want to do it on Fort Clark necessarily.
So how deep, James, is the economy here? Is it just basic, or is there any depth to the economy? And how are the prices? Do they vary with the commodities, the amount traded?
Yeah.
Or is it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's got. Let me just find. I'm just gonna just look here a minute. I'll get Washington, I think, be a safe bet at the moment. I'm going to upgrade the farm there. Yeah, so the resources are essentially set up. You're going to need certain resources for building here, look, shipyard I can't because I haven't got enough food again. I'm clearly short on food, that sort of thing. But I could build a train station and a warehouse. In fact, I think I might build a train station there. Essentially, what that does is, as it says there, reduces delivery time for crew, troops, and resources. So basically, it infers bonuses to increase the speed of, because the the creation of the resources around the coast, because obviously this is a naval war. Um, have all the you can build up all the different land around the forts and ports. This is the land in the forts and ports, but you've also got the train stations will be bringing resources from inland essentially as well. So that's going to give you bonuses.
So the resources that you gather are used up to finance and to fortify
Yeah,
yeah.
and as I said, anything you've got, because tobacco is a commodity that is really, is more for trading than anything else. It's good to get that out and sell it to different international powers in that respect.
The international powers, James, can they be allies or are they neutral or can it ever change?
At the moment, I mean, again, this is something we can discuss in early access with people. We're always up for discussing cool ideas. Like I said, we've got a few ideas at the moment. One that we're putting in based on feedback already is to have a territorial system, so that you can, capturing a region with, a certain amount of ports in it will give you extra bonuses, that sort of thing. But at the moment, they're all kind of a neutral, so the Confederacy and the Union can travel to them and sell their wares essentially.
So are you allowed to trade with anybody in this? Because as you're aware, the Confederacy were allied with Great Britain to an extent. So will the Union be able to freely trade?
Yeah, the Union can trade with the different factions as well. Again, you get different bonuses depending on where you go as well. So, and in fact, what I might do, I feel like I need to. We need timber and food basically. So I'm going to send these guys to trade up here. I need to get some more ships going as well, because at the moment I think what I need is, this is the balancing act with this game, because you've got to manage your resources, you've got to stop the blockade runners, so we need to get patrols. We've got historically what I've done is you've got the Gulf Blockade Squadron, but I've broken them up. So we'll be patrolling and trying to stop these leaks. But what we need, we need to get cargo fleets to essentially create resources as well. To ship resources. At the moment, I'm just going to see what we've got.
Can the AI do the trading aspect of this game, or does the player have control and always will have control of the trading aspect? The resource side of it.
No, I mean you could you could build fleets up. So you've got a shipyard here. What I need, just looking, I need next go. I'm going to start to get some next round. I'm going to get some ships going. But what you got here is frigates, and and these unlocked. So depending on what shipyard you've got, you can level up your shipyard. Will give you different types of ship and different amounts of ship that you can build at any one time. With the war bar as well, as you progress, this will unlock ships, which is where you'll get some of these monitors and stuff. Once the ironclads start to appear, that can really change the game. But again, you don't really want ironclads trading, that sort of thing. So what you do is you can build, say a gunboat. You can actually change the, you can assign it with a more expanded cargo space. You can assign it with more weapons and troops, so you can quite quickly change the balance of things. So you could build a few like this, and then what you do is essentially what as I've done with this fleet trading with Britain is that I can this guy before when before I decided to go over to Northern Europe was I was if I select deliver cargo, what that will start to do is just it will collect cargo and then it will start to it will deliver the cargo, collect some cargo, and start to go round our ports and deliver. So once you've defined it, they'll start doing it basically, and we'll carry on doing it. So the AI will start to work out where the resources are needed, and the better a chain it does, so the more it jumps from one place to another, the better bonuses you'll get as well in terms of resources. But
What happens if one of your ships is intercepted? Can you be captured? Are the resources can they be sunk and lost, or can the resources be captured and used by the other side? And can the ships, any of the ships, if they are captured, is there that mechanism available?
that mechanism, we haven't got that yet. But again, that's something we could discuss in early access. That'd be interesting to look at. One of the things at the moment, basically like if I stop these blockade runners, the ones coming out of Havana and things like that. The ones that I block and destroy, those resources do not get to, to the Confederacy. So that obviously slows down their war plans as well, stops their building. At the moment, as you can see, you can see some ships here. These are all the visible ones, and these are only visible because they're they've been spotted within range of a ship or a port. And essentially, once they get to a certain point, they'll disappear again when they're out of range. So you'll have a last known position, essentially. So you've got to keep an eye on these sort of things. And what I'm going to do, in fact, I'm going to split these off. So I've selected these two. I'm going to split them off. And if I pull them over here, I essentially create a new flotilla.
Can you allocate hotkeys for if you've split flotillas so they're easily accessible?
I've not tried that one actually. I have to see if the guys have done that one. To be honest, you all play it a certain way.
Yeah, I know.
It's one of those things that I've not actually tried it. I'm sure there's something around that, so I'd have to have a look.
Some people just love hotkeys, James.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the ironclads. As we know, the ironclads were not available immediately. There was basically riverboats that had some kind of armaments initially. So then you had the timberclads, you had the cottonclads, you had the tinclads. Are they available in this game?
Yeah. You've got a large spread of all the different types of ship that become unlocked, and as I said, they are quite a game changer once you start. Let's have a look. So my patrol here has intercepted Blockade Runner again. So let's. I think I might auto-resolve this one because I think we'll. There you go, and there you go. So ships lost the foreign trade goods as well. So they were doing some collecting some resources and trying to get back to their port. So that's going to hit them as well. Let's get back going at full speed a minute.
You're selecting these ships, giving them orders. Is that instantaneous, or is there some kind of order delay there, or is that an option?
No, the essentially you are it's the top level thing. So you give them orders, they'll start doing the orders. I think because one of those things that because there's you can this actual save that we've been playing from here, I've played for a couple of hours, but once you start building up and getting more and more, it's going to you don't want to you want to easily keep track of things basically and what they're doing. So and again with the increase in time speed as well that you can do that kind of it didn't seem much point to that, but essentially and actually just showing you here. So as of every at the end of every week you get some alerts. So the enemy's been seen trading with the following regions: Havana, Nassau even, Sicily, Cancun, Northern Europe, South America. So you can start to think about where this is at the moment. I'm just getting quite leaky at the moment, so I really need to look at the priorities for this. And again, we've got the Blockade Runners being hit here by Flotilla 10. Let's have a look. Might as well have a quick go at this one. So I'll keep them in a line.
When you start a battle, James, can you, if it's going on for a certain time, can you select it to be the rest of the battle to be auto-resolved, or can you resign from the battle, or do you have to see it through to completion on your own yourself?
You can auto-resolve essentially
at any time.
Yeah, so it'll work it out based on where you are. Let's get these going this way. I'm going to get them to hold gunfire again. Actually, no, I'm not for me. I'm going to get them to fire at will to show you. So basically, I'll control the fleet, and I'll use Q and E, and they'll stay there. As I said, you can now change the formations as well, so you can do it live and they'll work it out. But I'm going to stick in the column. The Blockade Runner's going to try and break through. I'm at increased speed, which is why we're zipping along. So I'll slow it down now.
Can you let the AI control the guns?
Yeah. So you can let the AI control the guns. You can also so the AI is controlling the guns there. I'm also going to get them to attack. So this is a fire at will command, and they'll move into a position. This is also useful if you've got more than one squadron available.
We've already mentioned about repair. You can do basic repair depending on the damage. How about resupply? Is it infinite ammo, or is it a finite amount?
No, it is finite. In fact, I should have been concentrating.
What about resupply?
Yeah. So you have to go and resupply in docks, that sort of thing. You can, merging fleets, that sort of thing. So you can, get some supplies from different, from other ships. But essentially, the fleets overall will, they'll notify you as and when you need to do things. It's they carry quite a lot of equipment, and as they're quite near ports for the most part, it's not too difficult to resupply. One of the things the Blockade Runner has just done is blockade run, so he's headed off. I should have concentrated more on that one as I was doing it.
Sometimes it can be difficult to answer the questions and play at the same time.
But that's the point of Blockade Runners. They're there to be fast and break free. So this is the issue with them, which is why I'm trying to. What have we got? I'm going to keep those. See
the speed, James.
Yeah.
You can increase, you can also decrease. So what's the lowest speed? Is it 0? I would assume.
Yeah.
So is that a pause state, or is that what is that?
Yeah. It's 0. Yeah. Essentially, it's another way of doing pause. Essentially.
Can you issue a command when it's paused?
Yeah. So right now, if I put it down to 0, it gives you a chance to have a look round then as well.
Yeah, because some people, might think some games are too click fest.
Yeah.
As the term is, and they like to slow things down and play at their own pace, and mull over a tactic or a certain strategy that they've got in their mind.
Exactly. So and that's the thing. I like to sit down and have a think with this one. I know some people play it differently. So some people like to play every combat in the combat view.
Yeah.
Some people just play it on this screen, and you can do that as well. And again, the fact that you can pause it as well is useful.
There's also you introduced it wasn't there initially, but there's a top-down view.
Yeah. There's also a top-down view as well, so you can switch between that. So pressing T gives you the top-down view, which is useful in the actual combat view as well. I find, because you can really line up your shots and things like that, and check out your distances.
How many orders can you issue? Can you, if you wanted to move all your pieces that were available to move, could you move those while you were post?
Yeah, you can just issue everything. So right now I'm doing that. I've literally just started to split off some more fleets. I'm gonna let's just look where I was. So Flotilla 5 there has now been split off into 2 gunboats. And then we've got, let's have a look. We've got Flotilla 15 here. So what I'm going to do, so if Flotilla 5's doing this patrol, I'm going to get them patrolling around here more. So you can order, you can press shift and set up a patrol, you know, so that it will follow that patrol route and just keep, you know.
Are you actually allocating defining those waypoints?
Yeah. So it's just shift and if you hold shift, it'll add a new patrol route. Or if you just press and do that, it will do a patrol from there to there. So it will keep heading back and forth. In fact, talking about that resources, these guys have got low fuel first, so I might. These guys are all right. So yeah, this one's got some low fuel. So it's not a desperate level, which is why I've not been well, not desperate, but at the low enough level that I've been notified, I think. So get these ones here, just going off and resupplying.
What happens if you run out of fuel at sea?
You get there is a point where essentially it gets to a point where you can just crawl back essentially if you need to. So it won't. You can't go full speed. So it's always, it notifies you with enough time that essentially you can't do much except go, you know, crawl back and get some fuel essentially. You know, and a lot of these ships as well have, you know, you've still got, you know, sailing frigates and things like that as well. So the worst thing we found, and again with feedback and ideas that may change, but the worst thing we found was you know, getting fleets where they're all stuck out in the middle of nowhere and you've lost track of what you're doing, you know. So we figured rather than punish a player for refuel and just have it so that, you know, if you know, it will slow you down essentially, and you've just got to get back and refuel.
Some games would handle that as an option for a player if they wanted something deeper again, or as a difficulty level. What difficulty levels are available in this?
Well, you've got you've basically got an easy, medium, and hard at the moment. That could change. So this is the medium levels. So you've got 300 blockade runners. I think the easy's 400 blockade runners. No, 450.
So I was just going to ask, what differentiates the different levels of difficulty?
So one of the main ones, obviously, the easy ones here are the blockade runners. There'll be less to so to the easy level, you'd only have 150 blockade runners. Sorry, the difficult level, you'd only have 150 blockade runners. You'll be allowed to have through before you lose. Easy's 450. You also get a lot more resources. On the easier level, and it's harder with the hard level essentially. So there's balances like that, and again, these are the sort of things that once we introduce mods, we can add, and also you know, with the mods, on the Pacific they've changed so much since we've launched it, based on player feedback.
What about the AI though, James? And these different levels, does the AI ramp up? Does it get more aggressive?
Yeah, so they do to an extent. We've tried not to change that too much. More just make it easier for you to grab things and to build up your fleets, that sort of thing. The AI in general will be doing their own. Obviously, they'll be trading. They'll be building shipyards. We haven't seen one yet, but once they're ready, they'll attack ports. Obviously, one thing the Confederacy struggled with at the beginning was building ships and getting resources. So we'll see at some point some fleets start to appear that are going to be raiding ports, taking out, attacking ports and capturing them basically, which is obviously going to push back our resource attempts and trying to gather our resources and things like that. So it's definitely
About resources, James. I think one of the questions that a lot of people and myself have had initially is, as you just mentioned there, the Confederacy were at a disadvantage, marked disadvantage initially due to the resources that were available.
yeah.
Obviously, the Union were better supplied, they had better industry, everything set up better. So, which brings me on to the question, asymmetrical warfare is, how does that, how do you handle that in this situation, in this game?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things we had to do, it's obviously an abstraction to an extent. It's not a simulation, so we're not just, you don't just sit there and let the Confederacy lose. You couldn't just do that. They are, you actually have to make choices, and and that's where we decided outside of Victory Sea Pacific that this needed to work on resources, and you've got to make the right decisions. So we've had to balance that to an extent to try and make it a game, essentially, because that's what we want. This isn't a this isn't an accurate simulation, because the Confederacy were at a disadvantage at this point. We've had to try and make it so that there's pushback essentially, and you do need to think about your choices. Again, that's also going to be once you play the Confederate campaign. You'll find that obviously it's going to be a tougher kind of game. So so you may find it if eventually you play the Union campaign on a high difficulty, but play the Confederacy on easy, because there's going to be a certain degree of balance in that respect.
Initially, the game doesn't launch with the Confederate campaign; it's the Union. So, At what point will we get the Confederate campaign?
Well, we're looking at obviously depending on feedback as well. We're going to be flexible, but we'll start to be in the first couple of weeks. You'll start to see some of the major parts of the game coming out. The Confederacy will be one of the first ones. So yeah, outside of minor player feedback, any bug fixes, that sort of thing, then the big things will be the Confederate campaign. We're looking at these regions that have been suggested already, and looking at the mods and the custom battles as well.
How different will that campaign be though if you play the Confederate? Is it just you tweaking some stats, just putting the one player at a disadvantage, or essentially will the whole feel of it and the struggle, will it actually be different? You know what I mean? Is it?
Yeah.
If you're playing the Confederate side.
I mean, I feel it's a different game because you've got different choices, and for this one, even the Anaconda plan, which the Union's thing to strangle the South, which I'm not doing a great job of at the moment. I've got this one creating some more fleets. In fact, I need some more. Here we go. It was to stop the Blockade Runners. So let me just get some Baltimore. Let's try Baltimore. There we go. So we can maybe get some smaller boats there. So yeah. So but from the Confederacy point of view, I think I'm still a little bit short cash. I desperately need some farms built and some extra resources there. Let's get a steamer going. I just need some fleets essentially that I can deliver cargo. But again, yeah. So this is the thing is built for these guys is building enough resources to get enough ships to initially stop the blockade runners, and then take the ports as well. So start to, which will also stop blockade runners because it stops resources from the. One sec. Dock. From the Confederate point of view, they're low on shipyards, so they've got very little in terms of they're playing catch up. So you've got to fight for every ship and start to build fleets quickly. So I think because the Confederacy starts at a disadvantage, and you've got to change that very quickly because you'll start to see the Union start to come in, building attack fleets, stopping your blockade runners, and going from there. So I think there's definitely some different considerations in terms of the way you play.
Initially, as you know, in reality, the Confederacy managed to capture a shipyard. And you've got that mechanic in this to capture a shipyard, capture forts with bombardment and with troops.
Yeah.
If you can deploy the troops. The troops, do you actually see a physical representation of the troops, or is it just abstract?
Yeah, it's an abstraction at the moment for that one. So we've got a... one sec, let me just start collecting and delivering cargo, and as you see there, they're moving to start doing their thing, which is what we desperately need. Here we go. So yeah, this is working. I'm going to just let this auto resolve. So now we're starting to take out these blockade runners. So the troops at the moment are abstracted. Something we can discuss during early access. I think what we would really considered was this being the naval campaign. Obviously, you send in ships, and you have to get ships, collect troops in order to do an amphibious assault. Obviously, you need to let that ship has to survive and land it as well by the port. So there's that to be taken into consideration, because these ports as they go. Obviously, Tampa here. These aren't accurate representations of the towns to a degree, because we want to be able to, this is where the making it more like a game. It's an RTS, so you can. There's quite a few that are going to start small, and you can upgrade and build, increase the town size, build shipyards, that sort of thing, and that's going to change their tactical significance. Also,
I know this is a naval game, but the question of troops, can you recruit troops? Is there a finite amount of troops, or is there a pool of troops, or what's the deal with the troops?
Yeah, no, to put the troops, again, the more you upgrade towns, towns will increase population size. You can create... So they're treated like a resource in this to keep it. We did try a few different things, but we felt the best way to do it essentially is so Washington here, I could build barracks, houses 100 additional defensive troops, and increases the recruitment rate of troops in this port by 1 per day. So and then you've got sailors barracks. Obviously, that's useful for to actually populate ships. So essentially, yeah, you build barracks to recruit troops into, basically, and then you can pull them in and use them for amphibious assaults, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think we've started to get some. Right, let's see where we are. So our resources, I've got 2 days. Let's see what the flotillas are doing at the moment. These are all little blockade runners. I'll auto-resolve that. That may... Oh yeah, we've got them. Cool. They can outmaneuver, outrun, even in the auto-resolve, so you can't take it for granted that you're going to win it. But
you mentioned earlier on about Anaconda.
Yeah.
Which you're trying to employ with a variable degree of success here.
Yeah.
Historical battles, Hampton Roads, for example. Is that in here? Will it be in here?
Well, you could. There are. I mean, one thing we can do is, you can recreate those sort of things in custom battles. The problem is you start at the beginning. It's like Victory Sea Pacific. You start at the beginning with a historical start, like the Gulf blockade squadrons, that sort of stuff. But then, at that point, you've really got to start to make your own decisions as to what happens, essentially. So as soon as you start playing a game, it changes how the historical battles happen. So you can have your own sort of fleets, attacking fleets, and recreating these battles. But there's no set time for that battle, because again, you might have completely changed the conditions for that engagement, essentially. So something like it could happen in your own time. It could happen earlier, it could happen later. We need to start refueling here as well. So
You mentioned your previous game on several occasions, the Pacific.
yeah.
How is this different from Pacific? Apart from the obvious, the time frame, but how is this different?
Let's get this into combat. So I mean, obviously, one of the things that is different is the ship types, obviously, which are heavily lent into with a time frame. The other thing about it is I mean, there's a greater degree of customizable options in terms of. Actually, I'm just going to let him fire at will while I talk as well, so I don't let these run past. You can customize the fleet. So I mean, these guys are all kind of laid out a certain in the basic kind of fashion with a requisite amount of cargo and things like that. But you can change that based on how many of the what you want them to do, essentially. If it could come to the point where the enemy really desperately has done certain things that change your plans, so you suddenly need a lot more refitting, ships refitted to deal with cargo space, that sort of stuff.
So is the engine the same, the game engine the same for your previous titles, or is this a new engine? And what game engine are you using?
Well, we used Unity to build it, but in terms of the mechanic behind it, this is definitely we did have to revamp and work into it because a lot of the fleets are and the requirements are so different to Victory at Sea, essentially, Pacific and things like that. That we need to rethink the way the combats worked, how they were pulled in, and again, Pacific was quite an experimental thing for us. We were trying something different. So there's things that in retrospect we would have done differently, but again, we didn't know until we'd had a lot of people playing it. There's a lot of things that actually came about that we didn't imagine we'd actually put into the game based on player feedback. We thought, actually, that's a really cool idea, So it changed quite a lot in that regard. So it gave us, and there's some things that we looked at and we thought, we can't do this without redoing the whole game, essentially. So there are things that we thought, maybe for future games this could work, but for Pacific we can't do it.
You recently released a patch, James, for the Pacific. Just sorry to cut in there, and so you're still updating that game. Is there anything you've learned from this title that you're going to add and improve in the Pacific?
Yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about these games, is that they give us ideas that go back and forth. I mean, one of the main ones for Pacific with the AI, we worked into the AI on this game, and we found things that we could improve. So that's one of the update was changing the way the enemy would react. Try and be more, because the blockade runners in this we needed to really work into to be as defensive as possible, and to realise have a greater degree of realising when they're beaten. We'd already had retreat things and tactics, but it was trying to get that balance, so they didn't just run all the time, but also trying to get them to let's just check. So that's it. Yeah, timber. So I'm just I've hit Northern Europe with a fleet, and basically I'm going to be trading all these the cotton and the tobacco and that to get some food and timber, which is the things that I'm desperately short of at the moment. So I'm going to send them back to there. In fact, I might take let's just get them over there a minute out of the way. So yeah, so things like that, they're feeding into each other, which is really useful, and really helpful, because you get different perspectives from people with these different games as well. So it's definitely changed the whole way we can work with these. That we think, oh, this is really interesting. We're going to get hit by a blockade runner here. I think it's enter this combat. I think to be safer. I don't want to lose my. And again, here's an example of some weird firing arcs. So yeah, so yeah, they're definitely feeding into each other, and we're going, oh yeah. So we're always of the mind that anything we do for Ironclad, if it can be put into Pacific, then we'll certainly do that. And so the more ideas that people have from Ironclad, that when it comes to early access, that's the thing we want from this. Is ideas, because again, if we'd have thought of it with Pacific, I would have put it into early access first, because it basically, like I said, it's a different game to where it started. And again, because we're feeling our way, we had a certain vision of how the game would work. But then when you suddenly get hundreds of players, and then thousands of players having a go at it and coming up with ideas, it's definitely an organic, it's been an organic process. But it's the way we like, we're an indie company, we're not a big company, and so it's great to get feedback from players and get a sense of the sort of things they want in it, because these are, the reason we make these games is these are games we want to play, but then you've got to make games that lots of people want to play as well, so it's great to get feedback and get ideas from people.
So the community can still affect the development of this title.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. This is the point of early access isn't to bring out the different features and to say there they are. It's to bring in, like I said, the demo has already yielded some things that we've put on. We put everything on a list. We talk about it with the team and say, oh, this is possible, this isn't. Oh, this would be really interesting. And so there's lots of different things that we do. Come on, yes.
Talking about things like the UI, some people have difficulty. For me, this UI is it's fine for me. There are some games like some of the, I don't know if you're aware, like the Gravity titles. They used to have a UI which was different. A lot of people were very negative about the UI, and the company later changed to a similar UI as yours, not the same, but similar, where the disc pops up in the center. How closed off is development on the UI? Can it be affected, or can it be an option where someone can change the UI, or is that just
all of it is open to discussion, and any good ideas we are certainly going to be taking on board, so I think anybody that comes up with an idea and we think, oh, that's going to be really cool, that's the whole point of early access. The point of early access is to bring these features out as we go, and then say, oh, this is certainly something we can add to this to make this better. That's the whole point of early access. It's not just to bring out the features now, and just see what, and then say, well, there it is. That's feature 1. This is feature 2. It's to get the feature out and to get feedback on it and think, oh, this is a really cool concept that we need to put this in. That's what we did with Victory Sea Pacific, is we put concepts in that players brought out. I mean, the modding, the things we added to mods really helped. I mean, Spectre X, who on our Pacific forum, he created a realistic version of Pacific, which is a lot slower and realistic ship building times, that sort of stuff. And players,
I've seen that.
Yeah, players can add that to, and go from there. So it's definitely these are things that the players can do, and
How easy, James, is it to mod though? How easy?
I mean, well, I can mod it, so I'm not.
Yeah, but you helped create the game, so that's different.
No, but what I was going to say is I can mod it, and I am not the most technical out of all of us. I'm the more creative. I do the other bits, so it's just. I think as long as the point of it is that if you've got a there's two sides. Like me, if I use a mod, I'll use somebody else's mod, because I would trust the players who know more about the detailing of every aspect of a ship. There was things we had with Pacific where there'll be a certain ship that said, actually, you've got the wrong gun attached to this ship. It should be this one, but at this point in the war and things like that. So these are details that players, that people know that love their stuff, and I love RTSs and war games, but I'm quite good on history, but I don't know every detail about everything, so you do rely on other people's expertise. And one of the things is that essentially it's a spreadsheet, so it'll come up. You've got if you go into some of the more detailed stuff, then that's up to you. But there's a lot of things, like it will just tell you a gun range, a type of gun, what damage it does, and that sort of stuff. So you can just change the numbers essentially,
and you can just create custom ships.
Yeah. So you can you can use and again, you don't have to be that clever with it. You could just literally use the an existing ship and change the stats and change the types and things like that. So these are things we're looking at for early access for the mods. And again, the point of the mods is it's not done once we hand it in, and that's the whole point of early access, that we put it out there, and then players say, actually, what you need in mods here is this, and and that, and that's essentially where we'll be looking at player feedback.
So the mods, Steam Workshop, is that where they'll be available?
No, we've been using again, it could change, but we essentially you can you set up a mod the same way as in Pacific. They use a similar system where basically it creates a folder on your desktop with all the stats in, essentially, and you can just change the stats.
You mentioned a few times about early access. Could you briefly discuss your early access roadmap?
Yeah, so again, like I said, this is going to be a collaborative thing, so nothing's hard and fast. Things can change as they go, but we are looking at, as I said, we'll be doing little updates where it's bug fixes or patches, player feedback, that we think are quite cool. Then it will be going into larger features like the Confederate campaign. Then it will be we're probably looking at the custom battles. We're looking at the mods, and as I said, there'll be features in between those as well, involving things like player feedback with the area control sectors, that sort of stuff, and anything else that comes up that the players have suggested, essentially. So I think what we'd be looking at for it is regular updates and but peppered in every couple of weeks or so with a major update, bringing out the next feature, so that we can all discuss it with the players and see what needs to change, what things they like, and things like that. So this is the time to really get involved and say, this is what I want out of the game, because as I said, we want this game to expand and and come in and build, make something that we say, oh, this is really cool. This is what we want to play, and as I said, it's a big old game. The campaign is quite a large thing with a lot of ins and outs. So you really got to think about what you're doing essentially. And the choices change as they go, so that can also affect early access, where you think, we really need, based on this and the way the Anaconda plan works, we really need this feature added and that sort of thing. So these are all definitely things that we're going to be looking at doing. I think it'll be great to talk to players more, and can't wait to do it. And it's, as I said, it opens up on early access on Thursday, so you can add it to your wish list. And keep an eye out and join us and start talking about the different ideas and start making the game. I think at this point it's probably a good place to stop, and we can look at doing another stream at some point, probably during the early access period.
Yeah, that's fine. But I do have a question that I've been itching to ask you.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of questions actually. Now, you can pause the game and you can issue all these commands, as many as you want, basically to all your entire fleet. Bearing in mind, you can pause this, and you've got two sides. I'm not sure if you know where I'm heading here. What are the possibilities of multiplayer here?
I hadn't really. We played in engineered as a single player game. I'd have to, look at that one and look at the possibilities of it. Not really considered at this point for what we play. I think because we play a lot of these single player, I hadn't really thought about it. I think as a campaign, it might be quite maybe a custom battle thing. It could work.
Yeah, understood. Another couple of questions. I know you're busy and you want to continue development on the game, but. Day-night cycle.
Yeah.
How does it affect play? Is it just a stop? Is it just visibility? How does it affect the actual play?
Yeah, there's accuracy can change at day and night, and visibility are the main things. So you're going to see fleets are going to start to try and sneak past ports and forts. And so they've got a better chance of doing that at night. So it's easier to get past you, at night time. So, definitely those are the main features for it.
And what about weather? Does weather play into this? Because that did affect certain ships during the Civil War. So, do you have weather in this? And or is it something in the future? And how would it affect if it's going to be added?
Yeah, I mean. I think that would be one to talk early access with the players. I think, from our point of view, I think one of the main things is to make this a manageable game in terms of the features with all, because there's so many ins and outs with it.
I understand. I come back from a wargaming deeper simulation background, so that's why I'm curious about these, and I often have these questions. I understand you want to reach a certain audience, and you want to make it a game that's easily accessible, easy enough to play, because some games you don't want to get tied down into the minutiae of the actual game. Some people just want to play. I understand that.
But not from again, that what I was going to say was that that doesn't stop us having a discussion about weather with this and the possibilities of it in early access. If there's a manageable way that it works for everybody, then there's certainly something to discuss. I think, I think that's the thing. It's just that because it is it's not mission-based simulation. It's like an open world with so many fleets and things going around. Sometimes it's better to start with something that's manageable by the players, and then and again, it could be something that we could have a tick box for. Have weather, fog. I mean, fog would obviously. I think mainly it's going to the easiest way of implementing it would be changing visibility and accuracy, that sort of stuff. And maneuverability. So I think anything like that's going to. I've got lots of food now, but anything like that's going to really help to change your decisions essentially, which is what this game's all about. Is thinking on the fly and really thinking about your decisions changing as you go essentially.
Yeah. Well, watching you play, and as I've said before, I've played this quite extensively. You can have a lot of ships on screen at any one time. What about friendly fire? Can you tell me briefly about that?
Yeah, at the moment we've got that turned off. I think we turn it back on as well. So, but yeah, because it's speeded up real time. One of the things we've tried to avoid is changing the parameters of that, but so that you don't end up, you can concentrate on playing the game essentially. But that's an optional extra essentially. So I think it's one of those things that you can either, I tend to avoid playing with all those sort of features on, because there's enough to get on with as it is with these ones. But again, they're pretty smart anyway with the way they work, so they don't tend to shoot you by accident.
What reports do you have at the end of the game and at the end of the session? What reports would pop up, and do you have in-game intelligence reports?
You have. I mean, you've got your log, which will give you your details on skirmishes, things available. You've got your as you've seen through the game, you've got reports, which is things like telling you where enemy fleets have been spotted, telling you where the enemy shipping has been, trading with, that sort of stuff. So so you get those sort of logs, but it's getting that balancing act of not having. It's quite a lot of information already. We're going to be changing a few bits, so it's just a one sheet sort of log for certain things, if there's multiple enemy ships spotted at any one time, that sort of thing. So and that's based on feedback from the demo and things like that. So we're already looking at changing the way some of those logs are featured anyway. But yeah, you get regular updates on things like that, and how as you've seen how the resources are going, and and things like that, and you can just literally quite quickly see. In the short term, your objectives and that sort of thing as well. So, and I still haven't got to capture Biloxi yet. I'm too busy trying to. I think I've started to get to the point where I'm managing the Blockade Runners. So, I think that's definitely been useful for me to sort that out, and now concentrate on getting
these intelligence reports. If I might touch on it briefly, can there be time limited? So can there be a situation where you've got an intelligence report, a ship was spotted on this location, and maybe a counter would appear at that location, however it's moved because the time's gone by and you do not have any updated information?
I think it does. Well, it's not so much, but it does do that anyway. So these ships, what we've got is that after a certain amount of time, they disappear from the thing. So it will tell you a ship's been spotted at this location. You can view on the map, and then essentially, once it's gone off a certain way, it will disappear, and it will be so you'd have that would be the last known position of it. So if you're trying to hunt them, then you know the sort of area you need to head towards.
Can there be a situation though, James, where if you see a ship, if the intelligence tells you that there's a ship at a location, the counter's there, you go to that location, but the ship's not there because it's moved on, or is that out with the scope of this game?
Yeah, at the moment, no, it's not. Again, it's. I mean, the ship. You get a certain visibility, a fog of war to it for a small amount of time, and then it will disappear, and that's where the scope is at the moment. So again, it can not be there once you get to it because it could have gone out of sight and gone somewhere else. So you'd have to respot it again, pick it back up. So but again, those sort of features, if it's useful to the game, then certainly it's some stuff to be we can talk about through early access. As I said, we're always open to ideas and thoughts about this.
Yeah. Final question before I let you go. I know there's quite a few questions here. The Will you have any other battles? Because it wasn't the Ironclads weren't, as you know, used just for the Civil War. They developed and they were used in other battles in other areas. So, are there any plans for you to develop this title with the likes of DLC or maybe free content? I know it has to be a finite amount of content because you've got to eat. So, are there any other plans for DLC or new titles? Being as you've got the engine basically down and you would have developed the Ironclad mechanism.
Again, we're open to all those sort of ideas. I think from our point of view, I mean, we're looking at expanding Victory at Sea games down the line as we go. That's not to say we don't do a DLC for this, or again, I mean, we're still putting in updates and feature updates on Pacific. So, we'll be adding and supporting this as we go for for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I think if something comes up that the players can really, that everybody gets behind, thinks, oh, we can do that, that'd be certainly something. Or, for now we're focusing on getting the early access for this going. But for the future, it could well be that we look at other features and other things that we can add. In terms of using these in different ways. I mean, we as I said, we've got plans beyond the scope of this for future games. But yeah, for DLCs, if somebody's got an idea for one, then we're more than up for listening to it. And
I think something like the Russo-Japanese War would be interesting. I know it's been covered by other games, but I find your engine, interesting, and it's easily accessible, enough to use, as you've demonstrated here.
Cheers. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's it. It's definitely something that we could look at. I mean, we were even looking at for those that know their history, like things like the Cod Wars. There's lots of things that have been touted as ideas for this. So yeah, and this is the point. I mean, you talk to the Victory, because those that don't know, Victory at Sea is based on a tabletop game.
Yep. So is this Mongoose Publishing?
Yeah. So Mongoose and Warlord have now started under license from Mongoose have started to release Victory at Sea games. They're starting in the Pacific, but Victory at Sea's it's not just one era. It's and that was the point, is that you could end up seeing, and I can't tell you because I don't know. I know they've got loads of ideas and loads of wish, like us. They if they could, they'd make one for every era. But you could see Age of Sail, Victory at Sea down the line. Or the Carthaginians versus the Romans or something. You don't know what. There could be loads of different ways of doing it. So, and that's for the tabletop game and for us. There's loads of great ideas, and yeah, certainly it'd be great to use the Ironclads and keep them, and do another one.
Looking at this view that you've just stopped on right there, it does give me the feel of a tabletop right here. The counters are sitting on those bases, so it gives you that feel.
What's good about this is that this is something the tabletop obviously couldn't do. They'll do the skirmish, mission based kind of, essentially our custom battles, whereas this one can run quite a massive campaign and let ships be built and do their own thing. Have an AI, which really helps in that respect.
And you can save and pick it up when you want to play it at your own pace. And if you have a cat, it's not an issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I mean,
cats like pieces.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got Axis and Allies that me and my brother play, and for anybody who's played that, if you can join, we've got the Pacific and Europe boards, so you can join them together. But again, it takes ages to set up and ages to put away, and it's like so it's nice to be able to just press play on a game and jump straight in and actually do it.
Oh yeah, and have it all set up for you, and it just the rules are already there. You don't have to look through or really learn too much.
No, exactly.
So, yeah. Again, I've asked a lot of these questions. The deeper, some of them at this point are out with the scope of what you intend for this title, because it is basically an RTS. Because of my background, because I'm from Dogs of War VU, and we play a lot of simulation, strategy, war games, but these are kind of titles that we enjoy as well. Because something that doesn't have to be, ultra, fine detailed with every little rivet. Sometimes you just want to pick it up and play it with a decent amount of information, decent amount of detail, and just for enjoyment as well. Because it's important that you enjoy. You can get a game that's so deep, it has so much detail, but then the game, you can't find the game or the enjoyment inside it. It's been basically just an engine, just like a simulation of what can happen between two sides, and a lot of the enjoyment's gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely something that you need to. It is a balance with different games. I'm just going to quickly.
I like the resource management, and that adds a whole new layer to this.
Yeah, that's what we were quite excited about. Is actually being able to, bring a different level to it that Pacific doesn't have. I think it's definitely something that. Yeah, it's quite exciting for us to actually give the players something else to think about. And again, I don't think we could have done the American Civil War without doing the resources. That was a thing, If you strip that out, and you haven't really got what the one of the main issues that the Confederacy had, and so it's something like what are they playing for? So there's definitely, as you said, there's that asymmetrical combat side of it, and the one side has got a lot of one thing and the other side's got a lot of the other, so it's definitely balancing that out for them.
Understood.
Excellent. Oh, we got that. So I'm going to just view this. We've got a Blockade Runner. Well, they're low on fuel. Auto resolve. Excellent. So so I think that's a good place to stop. We can, like I said, we can pick this up again and have another go. I enjoyed doing this, so it'd be worth.
Definitely, James. Definitely.
We can have another go and play some more, stream it again on the store page, and go from there, basically. So I want to thank everybody that's been watching, and like I said, it launches on Thursday in early access. That's the point where you're going to be able to. Really, put your stamp on the game as well and come up with some ideas.
affect development of the game.
Yeah, as I said, we're not going to stop developing after we come out of early access, but that's going to be the major point where we're looking at it and saying, what do you think of this? What should we do? What do you want to see added and taken away from it? And no ideas. There's no stupid ideas out there. So it come from. We'll tell you if you suddenly said, "Oh, we need it to be the full world," and we need all the populations mapped and tracked, and then we'd say, "Oh, maybe that's a bit out of the scope of the game." But again, give us the ideas, and we can see what's possible and what's not, basically.
Yeah, there's a Linux version as well, is there not?
We're looking at it. Yeah, we're not going. It's not going to launch straight off the bat in early access in Linux. We just want to make sure that we've got enough players. We don't want to shortchange people because again we're a small indie team.
Understood.
And we've got Macs and PCs and things, and there's only so many. So to get some people that are dedicated to test it, and so that we're not shortchanging everyone. It's definitely something we'd be up for. So yeah, brilliant. Okay, then I think that's it. And thanks, Asid, for coming on and talking this through with us. And we shall see you on the launch of Victory at Sea Ironclad on Thursday. And we'll see you on another stream soon.
Thank you, James.
Thanks, Sid.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye, mate.